Hey there! The best way to learn VBA, or Visual Basic Application, which is the programming language of Excel, is to work with a specific project. So in this video, I just want to take you through the process here of how I'm trying to solve a particular issue that I'm having. So I am a lecturer, and part of my duties as a lecturer is to grade student exams. And usually we have an internal grader and an external grader. So what quite often happens is that we do this independently of each other, the internal and the external, and then we compare the grades. And hopefully we'll end up with the same grade, and if not, then hopefully it's just one grade difference, or in worst case, like even more. So what I have here is data here on what the internal grader is giving each candidate and what the external grader is giving in grade to the candidate. And I want to figure out basically how big of a difference is it between each grade. So for the first candidate here, yes, A and A on both internal and external, so there is no difference, so the difference would be 0 here. In this case here, internal gives C and external gives D, so that's one grade difference. So is there a way here that I could make a function, for instance, that could just tell me, like numerically, is it 0 in difference, 1 in difference, -1, +1, is it 2 in difference, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to show you here in real time how I'm trying to solve this, and this might take some time, so this is probably going to be a pretty long video. So first things first, I need to open up a VBA module. And the way to do that, you can use the developer tab over here, or you could use shortcuts. So I'm gonna press the Alt key and then hit the F11 key. And this brings up the VBA editor. Okay, what happened there? I have no idea. So here we have the VBA editor, and as you can see, it is gray. We cannot type anything in here. So the first thing you need to do is to hit the Alt button, and then I for India, and then M for Mike, and this will insert a new module. So this notepad text environment here, this is a module, and module can be used predominantly for two things. We can make a VBA function, or we can make a subroutine. And we're going to do both of those things. So first of all, I'm going to make a function here. So to do that, we type in function. We can write function or sub, depending if you want function or subroutine. And then I need to come up with a valid name here. So I'm going to call it grade difference. And it's important here to make sure that you have a valid name. If you have, for instance, a space here, that wouldn't work. Underscore works, but colon probably does not work. So don't use a name containing characters which are not permitted, and make sure you don't use a name that's already in use by Excel. Open parentheses and parentheses. Inside these parentheses, I'm gonna list up the different input variables. So grade 1, for instance, that could be like the internal grader, and as string. So this means that I'm specifying that you're gonna have an input variable with the name grade 1, and it has the data type string, because this is a letter basically. And then I'm going to write a comma here, and I can write another one, grade 2, and that could be the external one. Again, it is a string. And outside of the parentheses, I need to specify the data type of the output of the function. So that's not going to be a string, but it's going to be, let's say, an integer. Because the grade difference can only be like 0, 1, 2, 3, and the worst case scenario will be like a difference of 6 if like one grader gave it an A and another one gives the candidates an F. So next, what I'm going to do here, I just click enter at the end of the line, and it will automatically add the end function. So all the code I write needs to be between the function and the end function. So the best way to do this, I think my strategy is going to be to use if then else logic. So if grade 1 is equal to then in quotation marks here A, then let's see, the internal is going to be equal to 6. And then we can basically just continue doing this. So this is going to take me some time to type out. So let's see. Okay, so what you have here, if the grade 1 is equal to A, then I say that the internal, which is a variable I'm just making on the spot there, has the value of 6. else if grade is equal to B, then the internal is equal to 5. If it's C, then we get 4, D is 3, E is 2, and F is 1. So I'm basically just converting this letter grade into a numeric grade. So in the very first here, we say if. For next one, we need to say else if. And in the end here, we can have like an else here, or we can just, in this case, I'm just using else if, but at the end of the if then else logic statement, we need to have the end if, which is kind of letting VBA know that we are finished. There's not going to be any more of this else ifs, for instance. So this is basically converting grade 1 from letter to numeric. And we can do basically exactly the same thing just for grade 2. So I'm just going to copy paste that. Let's see, we can put in a comment here. So internal letter to numeric grade. And we're going to do exactly the same thing down here. External. And now I just kind of need to replace grade 1 with grade 2 and internal with external. So that is a bit cumbersome for me to like do that. So I'm just going to highlight this like this. I'm going to use the shortcut Control H. And let's see, what does it say here? And I'm going to replace, let's see, I'm going to replace grade 1 with grade 2. And the reason why I highlighted it is that the change will only apply to the highlighted area. If I did this on the whole module, then the very first if statement will also change. So we're going to just replace all of them. See, 6 replacements. Okay, that's good. So grade 1 became grade 2 here, but up here is still saying grade 1. So that's perfect. That's exactly as it should be. I'm going to highlight it again. With Control H here. Let's see, Control H to open it up. I'm going to type in here, let's see, internal. And I'm going to replace that with external. And I'm going to replace all of them. There should be 6 of them, and indeed it is. Okay, and we are good to go. Next, what I'm going to do here, we're going to take the name of the function, grade difference, down here. And that is going to be equal to the internal minus the external. So we can put a comment in here, the straight apostrophe, outputting the results. And there we go. We have now written a VBA function. So we're going to go back to the worksheet now and see if it works. So this is going to be called difference. And in here, you can just type in the name. Grade difference is going to be suggested there on the autocomplete. So I just hit the tab button. Then I'm going to select the internal grade, and then the delimiter, and then the external grade, and parentheses. And voila, there we go. So let's see if it works. AA, that should be a difference of 0, and indeed it is. CD, that's a difference of 1. What about DE? Also a difference of 1, and this seems to be working. So we can autocomplete this. So I'm going to go here in B2, hold down the control button, hit arrow key down. Then over here in C501, I'm going to put in an asterisk, like that. Hold down the control button and arrow key up. Up here, I'm going to hold and press control button, shift button, and then tap the down arrow key. And now, if you are on the desktop, you can hit F2. If you are on laptop, then perhaps the FN lock is engaged and you have to click your FN F2. And then I'm going to hit hold down the control button and gently tap the enter key. And that will autocomplete the function to the entire range. And it seems to be working, as you can see. Here we have 2 in difference, okay. So this is working. So this is all well and good, but we can do more here, I feel. I was thinking we could add some color coding here. We could mark this to be green, for instance, if there's a difference of 0, and perhaps orange if it's a grade difference of +1 or -1. And perhaps red if it's more than 1 in difference, if it's 2 or 3 in difference. And we could accomplish this by using the conditional formatting, but honestly, I really don't like conditional formatting. And most people know how to use it anyway, so I think I'm just going to demonstrate here how to do this with VBA instead. So for this part, I think it would be better to, rather than type up all the code yourself, it would be better to actually use the macro recorder. So up here we have the developer tab. By default, this is not displayed in Excel. So if you don't have the developer tab, don't worry, you just need to activate it. And the way to do that, if I can remember it, let's see, you go to File, then you go down to, let's see, Options, then you get this little pop-up window, and on Customized Ribbon, over on the right panel here, let's see, there should be Developer. Yeah, here it is, Developer. So if you don't have Developer, it is probably unchecked. Just put a check mark on it and click OK, and then this Developer tab over here will appear. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I am going to click Record Macro. It doesn't matter what name it is right now. Then I'm going to select this one, for instance. Let's see, I'm gonna add green color because that's good. There's a difference of 0. What about over here? That's 1. I think you can use the color code orange, perhaps. And if it was, like a 2 in difference, I would use red, for instance. This is just difference of 1. I just need the color code. Go back to developer, and we can click stop recording. That's what we need from the macro recorder. We can open up the VBA editor again by clicking Alt F11. Here we have the previous code we made. By the way, if you want to see the whole of it, here's the code. So this is the module 1. By using the macro recorder, we automatically created the module 2, so we didn't need to go to Insert and then Module or Alt-IM as we did previously. So just double click on module 2, and here you can see it has generated a lot of the code for us. But we're going to need to edit this code. The big limitation with the macro recorder is that it cannot do loops, for loop, while loop, and it cannot do what's it called? You cannot do if then else logic either. So that's kind of a limitation. So I'm going to start with selecting range C2. So I'm just hard coding that we want to start here at C2. Before that, perhaps. So basically, what I'm trying to do here, I want to make a loop that goes through every single cell here from C2 to C, how many are there? 501. And if the cell is equal to 0, give it green color. If it's equal to 1, then give it orange. And if it's equal to 2, then give it red. So how am I going to do that? I think there are 500 grades there. So n equals 500. And we're going to start with cell C2. And then we're going to do a loop. So for I equals 1 to n, next I. And we're going to need to put this inside the loop. So I'm just going to copy or cut this and put it in here. There's a few more things we need to do here though. So we need to use some logic structure here. So if active cell dot value is equal to 1, oh no, sorry, if it's equal to 0, then what would happen? Well, we will color it to be green. How do you make it green? Well, that would be this code over here. I don't really know how to type this code myself, which is why we needed the macro recorder. The macro recorder is translating the graphical user interface inputs, me coloring a cell green, to actual VBA code. So that is good. Else if active cell is equal to 1, or if active cell is equal to -1, then, let's see, we don't actually need this part. This I can just delete. Then we're going to color the cell to be orange. And then I could put another else if here and say if the cell is equal to -2 or +2 or -3 or +3 or -4 or +4. We could do that, or I can just put in an else here. So you don't have to explicitly state the conditions. And so this basically means that we're going to conflate like a difference of 2 grades, 3 grades, 4 grades, 5 grades, and 6 grades. And the reason why I think it's reasonable to put them like this, or to conflate these different outcomes, is that it doesn't really matter that much if it's one difference in the grades. If there's 2 or more, then you have a problem according to the regulation. So, but if you want to have more granularity, then you could keep adding more else ifs in here. So I'm going to indent this. Yeah, hard coding range C4. I don't need that. I'm going to delete that again. At the end here, we need to add the end if. So this is a logic statement starting up here with if. We get an else if and an else. And in the end here, we need the end if. Next I. So this code is almost good to go, except if I were to run this code, it will just 500 times color cell C2 green. So I kind of need it to jump from C2 to C3, C3 to C4. So what I can do here, I can write active cell. Did I spell that right? Active cell dot offset 1, 0, which means that we are going down 1 row, but remaining in the same column. And we're gonna select that. So let's see if this works. And I'm kind of excited. Usually if you try to write code like this, then you need to be prepared that something could go wrong. So how do I run this script? I just click F5 or the green triangle up there. So I'm going to click F5. And yeah, it seems to be working. Okay, that's good. Let's double check here. CC, yeah, so this is all zeros and it's green. Difference of 1, we get 1. So it seems to be working. Yeah, so 1 and -1, we said that should both be orange. Let's see if there's actually any cases here where it is red. Are there any such instances? Oh, here we go. Here we have a difference of 3 grades. That's interesting, so that's red. So yeah, that interesting. So we made just to summarize here very briefly, we made a VBA function that is calculating the difference between 2 grades, the internal grade and the external grade. And then we made a subroutine, which is different from a VBA function, but subroutine. They both go in module, but they're kind of different. So the subroutine here is looping through all of the differences there, all of the cells here, and coloring based on the content of the particular cell. So yeah, that's what I want to show for this video. Me trying to program a little bit on the spot. So hopefully you learned something. If you like the video, then please like, subscribe, comment, hit that bell thing for something. I know idea what the bell is doing. It's doing something. Comment, like, subscribe. See you around.